Hi, Wow VIP Tribe. Wow, are you in for a treat today? You know, one of my favorite things to do is interview successful women in business and really truly get into their brains and find the tools and tips so the rest of us can walk in their footsteps towards success and inspire you and motivate you and educate you in less than an hour. So I am so excited to be here today with the fabulous Kari Lotzien, who runs not one but two businesses. She's an international speaker, and she has built this amazing message as an occupational therapist that improves family lives, couples relationships, just relationships in general, on the international stages. So Kari, thank you so much for spending time with me today.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
So Kari, will you tell me a little bit about your businesses, number one and number two, what they're called and what you do within them?
So To the Stars Occupational Therapy and Wellness Center is my first baby. And that company was started almost 20 years ago. And it started out just myself. I was an occupational therapist living in a very small rural community. My husband had just been transferred. So I wasn't able to find a position that met what I really wanted to do in that area. So that was how I started out. And as that kind of changed and evolved, I created my own company doing contract work in schools, mostly working with young children who had a variety of special needs. So that could include anything from autism to cerebral palsy to children who had learning disabilities. And we worked really closely with the families and the schools to help them understand how to really make these kids feel welcome, feel included, and to really optimize their potential. And that was my baby. I loved it right from the beginning. It grew really quickly. So I went from a team of one, being the chief of everything, as I would
Yes.
call it, to expanding my business. And at the top, we had 6 occupational therapists working with our company, and evolved really into doing more education and training for therapists, for parents, for teachers, really starting off in Alberta and then including all the way into the US.
Amazing, amazing. So that's To the Stars Occupational Therapy and Wellness Center. And where is that located, Kari?
So that business is located in Lacombe, and we've actually expanded even outside of occupational therapy now. So we're including a psychologist on our team as well. And we work very closely with other private speech therapy clinics and physiotherapy clinics. So even though we offer occupational therapy and psychology, we certainly do have a partnership with a multidisciplinary team.
Amazing. So that's business number one. What's business number two?
So business number 2 is called Be the Anchor. And it evolved off of To the Stars. Over the years, I just found myself that as I maybe got a little bit older, we'll say more experience, I started doing more of the educational piece. So a lot more mentorship and coaching, not only for parents and families, but for other therapists, and just really evolved into speaking about how do we be better versions of ourselves as parents, as business owners, and really broadened that perspective. And I really got more into doing work with trauma. So people who have gone through hard things and who have faced a lot of challenges in their lives. So I really specialized in doing workshops and training around trauma-informed practice. And that has taken me to that international place. But what had happened as I started moving and speaking on different topics that I was passionate about, it really was moving beyond the walls of pediatric occupational therapy. So although I'll always be an OT at heart, and I always, think about how we can better serve the next generation, we found that we just needed to create a different box. So Be the Anchor launched from there. And what's really exciting about that is it's allowed me to expand. I still do the trainings,
Mm-hmm.
I still do that educational piece. But now, as we move forward, my husband will be joining into Be the Anchor. And we'll be talking a lot more about what it means to be an anchored family, what it means to be an anchored couple, and then moving into anchored leadership. So my husband brings 20 some years of management experience in the corporate world. So a lot of the ideas that we've developed, maybe starting as an occupational therapist, have expanded into Be the Anchor and what that programs and educational experiences have led.
That's an amazing evolution over as little as 2 decades, but an amazing evolution nonetheless. Tell me this, what made you want to be and embrace this world of being a woman in business, a female entrepreneur? What, did you always have that entrepreneurial spirit? Where did it come from?
Oh, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I wasn't a great employee. I feel like I've always been one that questions the boundaries and questions, why are we doing this? And could we be doing it differently or better? So in my work as a new graduate, when I first kind of came into working with the health system, I had a notebook in my desk and it was just titled When I Own My Own Company. And started off by, I just didn't always love being an 8 to 4 employee from Monday to Friday. I wanted more flexibility. I could see potential that when you work for the health system, it was all about priority setting.
Mm-hmm.
So we needed families to qualify to receive our services. And that was heartbreaking for me because I knew that what we were offering was bigger than that. And I felt that we could really benefit the lives of more children and families. So when I went into private, I felt that it allowed me to not have such stringent criteria on my time, which was both a good and a bad thing.
We go
But
from working the 8 to 4 to the midnight to midnight, round the clock.
we still giggle about it because I said I went into it not wanting anyone to tell me that I had to be at work at 8 o'clock. And so that I could still be at work at 8 o'clock at night. But it's what you're passionate about too, I think. And so that was kind of the business side of it. But then I would say on the family side, it was really important for me to be able to still have time with my family. So what really pushed me there was when we moved to a very small rural community with my husband's job, I couldn't stay working for the health division that I was. So in that, it kind of forced me into saying, okay, well, do you want to do this or not? And I at first didn't. I took a job where I was commuting 2 hours each way minimum.
Ooh, ouch. That's brutal.
And staying overnight in a lot of places and just commuting so often. And at that time, my kids were only 1 and 3. So they were really, really little.
Yeah.
And it it lasted just over a year that I did that. But it got to a breaking point.
Mm-hmm.
My husband was also in ownership of a different business. So having 2 business owners in one small town or, one small home was tough. So I wanted more flexibility for my kids and my family as well. And that really, I think, kind of pushed me to say, rather than commuting 2 hours for someone else, if I could even do my paperwork from home, I thought that would be better. So that's kind of how it started. And then it just evolved from there. When we transferred again, then I decided to take on a brick and mortar storefront and clinic and kind of built my dream from the ground up and really tried to expand it to be what my dream or my vision was.
Mm-hmm.
Did that 8 years ago.
That is amazing. Building the dream. And like you said, quite often for some of us, I'm included, is we have this dream, it's almost subconscious, and then God or the universe, whoever you believe in, gives you the choice, and you really is no choice. And you step into that dream and you step into that purpose and you put in the time that needs to be put in. And then look at you. All of a sudden, not one but two businesses after like, do I really want to do this on my own?
Yes.
Fantastic. So of all the things that you've done, and I know you've spoken on international stages, you are a recognized expert in your field, and there are so many things that you manage in your day-to-day. What has been your biggest success as a woman in business?
This one actually gets me a little emotional.
That's okay.
I think the biggest success is the lives that we've impacted. I had a family reach out on social media recently that I worked with as a graduate. I think it was almost 18 years ago. And they found me on social media and shared just what our involvement and helping them to understand their child's disability.
Amazing.
And now he's an adult. So I think of hundreds and hundreds of kids that, parents have come to us and said, you know what, I learned not only how to be a stronger parent, but I understand my child better. I understand other people's kids better. I'm a better, coworker. I'm a better friend. I think that was the biggest piece. And then as we've moved into doing more education, it's, I used to think that the way to make an impact for a child is to work with them one-on-one, because I love that. And then I was burning out and I was getting tired and I could only see so many children, and we were, just busting at the seams. And now when I look at a group of therapists in an audience or a group of educators or a group of parents, and I think for each one of those people in the audience, how many children each of them are reaching. And that is where I think we're having our biggest impact, is when we can change the way we think and we change our knowledge and we change our perspectives, it creates, that trickle effect of change. And I think that's how we change the world for kids. So I knew that sounds really big and
No,
really, kind of filled, but it makes me really emotional when I see people who care about kids and who care about being better for that next generation, the impact it has.
absolutely. And that really is the success. That's the legacy. That's the impact. It's not just business for you. It's a passion. It's a life. It's a life well lived. And you're here. And I love the fact that you're emotional about it, because we need, as women in business, to be emotional about what we do and passionate about what we do. Otherwise, it's really hard to get through those tough days. So as you transitioned and your business grew, and I heard you say the word mindset, which is why I'm asking this question. You were the chief of one versus, and now you're the chief of many. And like you said, you are chief of everything. So what I call COE. What was that? What did you have to do as you grew to move away from being chief of everything in that position to becoming the CEO you are today?
A great question. And you know what, to be very honest, it's something I still struggle with. Because I slip back into that. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
Yes.
And I think that when I first started, I felt like I needed to learn everything so that I could do it well. And what I've now realized is, as my team has grown and I've been able to partner with these amazing women, we are blessed to have a team of, other than my husband with my new business, we're entirely women from start to finish. When I started partnering with women who were equally passionate about doing an amazing job, who also had dreams and visions, it allowed me to kind of let go and say, you know what, they're equally as amazing. And when I
Mm-hmm.
could celebrate that, it allowed me to let go a little bit. And I still am probably a little too hands-on and involved, but it's a process.
Absolutely, it's a process. And it really is that mindset shift. And like you said, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And empowering others to step up into their own roles and into their own power to help you grow as well. So as you move through the roller coaster, which is entrepreneurship, we talked about the high days where you have that moment and you see the impact you've had on a family, to the low days where maybe you're stuck in the pit of paperwork and all that kind of stuff that we hate doing. Um, what has been your most significant struggle over the last 20 years, and how did you overcome it?
Mm. Well, as far as struggle, I mean, when I say that I moved from working in the healthcare system
Hmm.
to working with the healthcare system, we are still greatly affected by the healthcare industry, government cutbacks, people having income to be able to spend on services such as therapy for their children or families, and being able to access those services. So we are constantly shifting. Every time there's a change in government, every time there's a change in budgets for school systems, or just changes to programs, it really does have an effect on us. So I wouldn't say we completely overcome it, because those waves of change are always there, but I would say we're less reactive to it. We have changed our plans so that we've diversified. So we have different sources of income, so that when one program changes, it doesn't mean that it completely creates a tidal wave in our business. Um, so that has helped. I think the other, I guess, big piece over the years is when I started, no one really knew what an occupational therapist was. And I still think that that's there. We
Hmm.
haven't come a really long way, but in a small community in central Alberta, I believe that we are changing that language and people are learning more about us. So it created big growth in a short amount of time. So attracting new therapists and people to central Alberta and getting them away from the big city life is also been a challenge. So we continue to just, keep our eye on the horizon and look for really good people that are going to be a benefit to our team, so that we have a long-term plan, that we're not just responding to what's happening today.
I love that. And I've had the pleasure of working with you and being a part, knowing you through WOW for the last couple of years. And I know that you really are a goal setter and a go-getter and a systems builder, and, looking at your business from a strategic level, as well as also looking after the minutia of your business. So how impactful is it, as you grow your business, and especially with the new Be the Anchor business, of how important is it to develop those goals and those strategies, and take some time to go back to that 30,000-foot look at your business, of working on your business, versus sometimes we get so caught up in as women in business, in the minutia and the details of the day to day, and I often hear people will say, oh, I'm too busy working in my business. It's like, so what's the importance of working on your business? Because, I think that 2 decades of experience is a really good brain to pick today.
I think that I've always been a visionary. Probably, I would say I don't have as much of that working in the business. I would exhaust myself working in the business so that I could work on the business and be creative. And it was just that often happened late at night or really early in the morning.
Hmm.
And I think what I had to do was a real, I'm going to say mindset again, shift, that the time that we spend working on the business as a visionary, doing the networking, developing those systems and sharing them with others, is equally as important as doing payroll and GST and managing the day-to-day operation. it's not what you do after the fact. And that is the real value that I think we bring. The only person who really knew what my business looked like and what I saw for it was me. And it is up to me to share that vision with others and to be the voice and the face of the business, but not as an afterthought. Sometimes going for lunch with the WOW tribe or going to a networking meeting felt frivolous. It felt to me like not doing the real work.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm starting to recognize that that is the real work, that is what is really going to nurture your business long term, and you have to allow space for it.
I love that. Allowing space to work on your business. And I love what you said, nurture your business and the processes that go with it. So much knowledge there in just that one statement, ladies. I'm hoping that you're taking notes if you're watching this video, because Kari has so much to share. So Kari, when you're looking at your growth in your business, of course, marketing has a lot to do with growth. So in developing not one but two businesses, and of course marketing yourself as an entrepreneur, especially if you are the professional speaker on an international stage as well. So what is your best marketing tip for the VIP tribe?
I'm old school. When I think about probably my best marketing tip, it was to over deliver. When it doesn't matter if it's a workshop or if it is a one-on-one client, I always want people to leave going, oh my gosh, I can't believe that's what we got for that cost. And I had to recognize, I think, my own value that I brought to that it wasn't about putting yourself on sale. It's not about undervaluing and over delivering, but it's about really being proud of what you do deliver and giving that ultimate experience and quality. I think that especially with To the Stars, we have a really unique type of therapy, a really unique business. And the way that we support families is fun and it's supportive. And, we have kids that the best part of their day is coming to therapy. I think that's pretty cool. And I think we need to highlight that. So when we do marketing, I want to really give people a behind the scenes peek at what this looks like. Because when you have to pick up the phone and say, you know what, my child's really struggling with anger, or they're really having a hard time with anxiety, or my child's gone through something really challenging, or my family has, that is such a vulnerable experience to make that phone call. Because sometimes we have this perception that it's because we are not doing a good job. And it's really the opposite. And we want that sneak peek behind the scenes to be, we're normal people who do crazy things, and kids love coming here, and parents feel empowered and they feel stronger. They don't feel like they're being put on the spot or they're being judged by any means. So I think it's really about clarifying your message to say, what do we do and how are we different than maybe what you thought we were? So in our marketing, we try to give that sneak peek behind the scenes of our core values as a business. What do we believe? We believe that parents are doing the best they can. We believe that educators are doing the absolute best they can with limited resources a lot of times. But we're here to support, we're here to help, and we understand. So that's the message that we try to really convey in our marketing.
I love that. And I also love the fact that you said how you value your services, that it's not you're not putting yourself on sale.
No.
And over delivering and underpricing, because I think that as women in business, when we have the opportunity to set the prices of our services, and we're givers, we're natural nurturers, and we want to give so much, and yet we're almost afraid to charge for it. So how did you figure out your price point, or your, just your mindset around charging at a rate that you were comfortable with, there was value there, you were happy with the exchange, of or currency for services where you said, okay, I'm feeling really good about that?
There's probably two different lines on that.
Mm-hmm.
One is as a therapist providing direct service. So because when I moved out of doing direct service with children and families, that was a real shift for me, because for me to hire the best therapists available and to honor them for what they're bringing to the table, their years of experience, and how they go over and above to make sure their service is a service of excellence. I know that as an employer, they deserve to be paid well. They deserve to be appreciated, to have access to high level education. And when I ran my budget, I knew the number that I needed to charge for their services so that I could recruit the best level of staff. So that one had to come kind of through the back door for
Mm-hmm.
me. I had to appreciate other people to recognize how to appreciate myself. And then on the other side of that, with our workshops, I had to sink in and think, what is the price? And everybody has that number. So no one can tell you what that number is, but a number that you say, okay, this is what I'm comfortable with, where I feel like there's that equal place of this is what I'm doing and this is what it's worth. If we undervalue ourselves and over deliver, we feel this sense of when we go to do that service, we're a little resentful that I don't feel appreciated, I don't feel valued, and it creates this energy of lack. On the other side of that, if we overcharge by a substantial amount and we feel like we can't provide the service to that level, we're going to feel almost apologetic for asking for that amount. But there's this sweet spot where if you price yourself just a little higher than what you feel comfortable with, your service will strive to provide that excellence because you feel valued, you feel like you're doing a great job, but you want to deliver for what you're earning.
Yeah.
And I think it's that way of pushing, but not being too far on either side.
Mm-hmm. And I love that, pricing yourself a little bit higher than you're actually comfortable with, because, it's that comfortable level where we say, oh, you know what, it's okay, I'll give you a huge discount. And at the end, you're absolutely right. We feel resentful, we feel taken advantage of, and we did it to ourselves.
Yes.
We did it to ourselves. So I want to take you back. I want to rewind the clock, and I want you to take us into, what did the first 5 years of your business building look like from a point of work-life balance? Because we have a lot of ladies in the WOW VIP tribe that really need to hear the truth about what does the first 5 years look like, and what kind of hours do you have to work? What kind of hustle do you put in? When do you come up for air? Because there's a lot of ladies in the WOW tribe that are still in that 1 to 5 year pocket. So I want you to dial back the years and tell me, what was life like that for you?
Oh, number one, the thing to hear is don't do it like this.
Don't do what I do what I say.
Do
Yes.
not do what I did. My first 5 years was exhausting. I think I was working approximately 65 to 70 hours a week. And that was true work. That was leading groups, seeing kids. At one point, I had a incredible woman who still actually works for me. And she showed up and I was mopping the floor before my group started. And she showed up a little bit earlier and caught me off guard. And she said to me, "Are you washing your floor?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Do you do all your own cleaning?" And I said, "Yeah." Because I thought I was saving money. And I thought that by doing it all, I was, really saving the money for the business so that I could get ahead. And it was dead wrong. She was my first hire. Actually, that lady ran a cleaning company and said, "Let me help you." And I was like, I hired her, and that was the beginning of noticing where your time needs to be best spent, when my time was spent in money generating avenues and shifting my thinking to, I wish I would have reached out and did more networking sooner, because I would have met women like the lady that walked in the door and said, what are you doing? This is crazy. But I was so stuck in it that I didn't come up for air to see who else was out there that could help me. I thought I had to do it all. And as a result, I think my business probably didn't grow as fast as it could have. I don't think that I was probably in the best space for my family, because I would get home at the end of the night and just crash. And I didn't have much left for them. And it came to a point where I had to really question why I was giving so much to other people's children and not much left for my own. So
Yeah.
I think that those first 5 years were really inspirational. I think I had this dream and I was excited that it was happening. And I got so excited about it, I just kept going. I just kept going and going and going and going until I couldn't anymore. And in hindsight, I think looking for help earlier and networking earlier to find incredible people who had been down the path before that could have said, you know what, Kari, stop cleaning your floors.
Yeah.
Would have such a saving grace.
Absolutely. And those first 5 years are certainly the place to start building the team. And I know that, honestly, within the first few months of starting WOW, I built a team. I'm forever grateful of being supported. Because you're right, if you're not focused on, as a CEO, on the $100 jobs, I call them, the IPAs, or the income producing activities, that's where your attention needs to be, versus the $15 jobs, like mopping the floor, or some or doing your own social media posting, or bookkeeping, or all that kind of fun stuff. So now let's fast forward time, because we went back into time. Let's go back to today, and let's look at running 2 companies, being a mom to now teenagers, I believe, and a wife and a community member. And so what does work-life balance look like for you today?
It's much better, much, much better. I think just the experiences of life, you realize that, I don't know, maybe it's your 40s, where I really did. I started to reflect and think, what's the bigger purpose and what's the bigger reason for all this? I've been in a service-based industry for my entire career, but you had talked about the legacy. And I think that I've really shifted from what is the day-to-day work of service that is so important to what is the legacy that I'm going to leave. And whether that's supporting other women in business, whether that is educating other therapists, continuing to do educational work, what it has allowed for me is that I'm not running like I was. I'm not, stuck to that schedule of so many clients and so many things, but I am at this stage of going, okay, what's really important? What do these therapists really need to know so that they can stay in this game long term and do the work that we really believe in? How do we support parents so that we have stronger families, so that we can volunteer at our kids' school and, or lead a hockey team or be a coach, so that we're really providing a greater community for our kids to grow up in? That's about getting outside of the box for me and really thinking about sharing the message, sharing the knowledge, and giving to that next generation. So it allows me to spend more time creating, and I create best when I'm in my kayak, or when I'm out walking my dogs, or when I'm out, just in nature. It's a more peaceful place, but I think it's still a very important place. There was a time where I thought that was frivolous, and I thought that it was lazy, that people who do real work do it behind desks and they have meetings. And now I realize that that's crap. It's not like that. we can do really important work outside on a walk.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're not tied to our desks 8 till 4 inside under fluorescent lights. You can do some of your best entrepreneurial growth from a picnic table by the lake with a laptop.
Yes.
And that's why we became women in business.
Yes.
It's so awesome. I love the fact that you have this amazing story of growth, and not only professional growth, which has been amazing to watch. Even in the short time that I've known you, your growth has been exponential. But, someone once told me there is nothing like being an entrepreneur to slap you around so much that you recognize the need for personal growth as well, personal development. So, how has that personal development journey looked like for you as you've built your business over this last 2 decades?
Oh, I don't think I've done more reflection on the way I think and my core values and my thoughts. I don't think I did that in the first 15 years. I was just so busy, just moving. And that reflection and that time to really focus in, I think that I'm clearer. I'm much clearer on what's important. I feel I'm a better communicator because I care more about the message that I'm conveying. So I think I spend more time trying to be thoughtful of how I convey messages, especially to my team and in my workshops, that, it's like, this is freaking important. So make sure that you're prepared and you're really clear on what you want the message to be, because when you're in it, and I think those are the people that I really want to speak to, is the women that were where I was 10 years ago, and what I wish I would have heard, what I wish I would have known, because I wouldn't have had to learn it so hard. And maybe that's crazy. Maybe we can't prevent that for other people. Maybe we just hear that there's support. And I think that's honestly what you were for me, Michelle. The day that we first met, I remember I was going to cancel. I was not coming because I thought, I'm too busy. I don't have a clear vision for my business. I don't even know what I want to do. I'm just trying to keep my head above water. But I went anyway. And I think that trusting that gut to say, no, there's a reason you're supposed to be doing this. And the difference in driving home that same day and feeling like a different woman. And I thought, but that's the power of having someone ahead of you who helps you just get clear. And that's what we want to do for families. That's what we want to do for this next generation. And I feel like having someone do that for me is what allows me to do that for someone else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Kari, it's such a privilege to sit with you today. And I know that was probably a couple of years ago that we first had our day together, maybe 3 years ago.
No, it was July. It was July 24th of 2018.
Wow. You remember the date?
2 years. Oh, I remember the date.
Oh my gosh, that's
not
amazing.
even been 2 years. I looked back at my goals from that day that we set, and it was pretty amazing, because not knowing what I was doing, not feeling like I had a plan or a vision, and less than 1 year later, I had accomplished every goal on that list. And I would not be here without that, because it created a pattern. And now doing the masterminds is, it's just such a gem of time to get that same level of focus to just help yourself get clear. And that I've loved that. So, the time, yes, I've had 20 years and I learned a lot, but man, I learned it the hard way. And I think to learn it in community is easier, and the growth is exponential in this last year and a half when I started learning how to reach out.
Amazing. That is some great insight for the WOW VIP tribe, the ladies watching this Secrets of Business Success broadcast. And I know that you have such amazing insight to share. So to the woman who is where you were 18 months ago, lacking clarity, not too sure why she got into this business in the first place, not too sure how to manage the two commodities that are in business, time and money, and just thinking that each day is a bit of an uphill battle. What would you say to her?
Show up.
Show up.
Trust your gut, that when you have that feeling of not being comfortable or not being good enough, and you feel like you don't really belong at that table with those women who, are running all of these successful businesses, and, they're high performers and I'm not, show up, because it changes everything.
Wow.
Just show up.
Just show up.
Get
I
your
love
butt
that.
to the table.
Get your butt to WOW.
Get your butt to WOW. Literally.
Kari, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom today. You are simply motivational, inspirational, what I call the ultimate high performer. Kari, thank you so much for spending time with me today and your amazing wisdom. And I just know, and I know this to be true, that when you named your business to the stars, that's where you're going to go. That's where you're going to go. That's where you're going to go. And I know that your impact with families is going to be worldwide, and that people will long remember Kari Lotzien for her wisdom, her compassion, and her legacy in the world. And I just so appreciate that you spent time with me today.
Oh, thank you so much for just being such a huge part of the journey. I am so eternally grateful to what you've been.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Thanks, Kari. We'll see you next time.
Thanks so much. Have a great day.